In Ontario, nears 4,000.
We needed to actually come and get more stuff.
Shirts, pants, sweaters.
I just came to get a jacket.
Shoppers in York Region headed out in droves before the tighter restrictions come into effect on Monday.
We do want to get this individual out as quick as possible.
Emergency crews work to recover the body of a worker after the partial collapse of a building in London. And spreading holiday cheer and a little beer. How a local brewery helped to bring in loads of non-perishable goods for their holiday food drive.
This is CBC Saturday News.
Good evening, I'm Marivel Tarouk. The province's COVID-19 case count came in at 1,873 today. With the numbers stubbornly high, Ontario is expanding restrictions. Starting at 12:01 a.m. on Monday, 7 regions face stricter rules. That includes lockdowns in Windsor and in York Region. All restaurants, shops, and gyms will have to close for at least 28 days. Our Natalie Nanowski is live at Vaughan Mills, where some people look like they're still trying to squeeze in some last-minute holiday shopping. Natalie, what are you seeing out there?
Right, so they have until 9 o'clock tonight and then of course tomorrow to get in that last minute shopping. And I don't know if you could see behind me if it's not too dark. There are more than 100 people lined up here in this lineup. It stretches all the way around the block. Some of them told me that they've been waiting for an hour to get inside and to do some shopping because at every single entrance there's a line like this and a security guard letting people in and monitoring exactly how many people go inside. Because as you mentioned, Marivel, as of 12:01 a.m. on Monday, this region is going to join Toronto and Peel and go into a 28-day lockdown. What that means is all non-essential businesses, all shops, restaurants, and gyms are going to close for 28 days. Today, York Region saw nearly 200 new COVID-19 cases, and cases keep on climbing here. We spoke to one doctor who works in this area, and he told us that hospitals are at capacity. They're really experiencing almost a tipping point at this point. ICUs are full, emergency rooms are full. He also told us that some of his patients have had to wait 24 hours to get a bed, and that is of course a very terrible thing to have to see. He also says that once people do get inside and get a bed, that they stay in the system for a long time. Have a listen.
Anybody that does survive the short term, they go to the ICU and they stay there for an exceedingly long time. I don't think the lockdown goes far enough. Most of the cases I'm seeing personally are through house-to-house transmission and family-to-family transmission. I know there's been messaging about trying to avoid going to other households. It doesn't seem to be penetrating as well as it should, because the vast majority of the cases I'm seeing are from small gatherings, households mixing.
So mayors of York Region, however, they don't really agree with this lockdown. They say that they don't want one because cases aren't spreading as a result of things like this, of going to a mall or to a restaurant. They say that cases are being spread inside people's homes. One mayor we spoke to, the mayor of Vaughan, of this city, he told us that he spoke to the premier and tried to lobby the government for a second time not to go into a lockdown.
As a region, we presented what I thought was an excellent case to remain in the red zone, but obviously the province has more inputs in their analysis and has decided, in fact, to put us in a lockdown. I do think that really the narrative of COVID-19 needs to change, and what we need to focus now on is how are we going to live with this virus? Because you don't want it to be a force that mobilizes the entire society.
Of course, his efforts didn't work. The province is putting a lockdown in place in York Region as of 12:01 on Monday. Marivel?
All right, still quite an incredible sight to see all those people in line behind you, Natalie. Thanks for this. And we spoke to some of those shoppers at Vaughan Mills about why they decided to hit the stores today and how long they were waiting to get inside.
Hey guys, can I ask how long have you been waiting in line?
No?
2 hours?
From 1 hour almost. I would say like 40-45 minutes, like 1 hour about, yeah.
We've been here for 30 minutes now. We didn't know the mall was like this, so crowded. I thought the weather would be okay. I came to get a jacket. I went to bass pro shop, and then the lineup is too long.
Well, actually, we're here to return some stuff that we don't need. But yeah, you know, even though we are going to return, we have to line up.
Meanwhile, preparations are underway for COVID-19 vaccinations to roll out next week. While there is relief and excitement that the first round of vaccines will be administered, experts are warning against complacency. Lorenda Redicott reports.
As of noon today, eligible healthcare workers in Manitoba could book an appointment to get the vaccine, with the first shots on Wednesday. Ontario vaccinations start Tuesday, also for healthcare workers. In Quebec, it's long-term care residents who will be up first, starting Monday. Today, Health Canada put out a release telling people not to get the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine if they're allergic to any of the ingredients, after 2 people in the UK developed severe allergic reactions. Whether or not to get the shot is already on people's minds.
I'm tired of, being afraid of sending my kid to school. And I'm tired of the elderly people that are my neighbors that can't get out. Like, I'm tired of all this. So if we can do something to make it a little bit easier, then I'm all for it.
I'll wait for some time before I actually start taking it to just see what the repercussions are, but most probably, yeah, I will.
Infectious diseases experts are trying to reassure those with doubts.
All of the steps that we would have taken if this vaccine had taken 10 to 15 years to develop, we still did all of those steps, but they got scrunched together on a much shorter timeline.
Doctors caution people not to get too caught up in vaccine excitement.
It's natural to want to assume that the vaccine is going to rescue us. And in the long run, it will. But in the short run, it can actually make things worse if people relax.
This doctor working in Toronto and Peel wrote online that the ICU these days feels like a sinking ship. Today, Ontario reported more than 850 people are in hospital with COVID-19, up from Friday by 47, with 17 more people on a ventilator.
And healthcare workers, top to bottom in the system are exhausted. All of this happening, and we know that the worst is yet to come. So that worries me a great deal. Since we haven't hit the peak of cases yet, we certainly haven't hit the peak of pressure on our hospitals.
And in Alberta, where the health system is stretched and tougher restrictions begin Sunday, a new ad campaign reminding people not to let their guards down, especially over the holidays. Lorenda Redicott, CBC News, Toronto.
Recovery efforts are underway after a building under construction in London, Ontario, partially collapsed yesterday. The incident left 2 people dead and 5 others wounded. Police say equipment was brought in today in an effort to recover the body of a worker trapped in the rubble.
Right now, the City of London, London Police and London Fire are working collaboratively to try and get the individual out of the building. Now, this process could take some time due to the structure of the building, and it's not safe right now for everybody to go in there, and we have a number of people who are assisting in determining just how long this process will take and what exactly they're going to have to do.
The incident happened just before noon on Friday at a 4-story building under construction in the city's West End. The body of the second victim was recovered from the scene on Friday. Of the 5 people injured, 4 required hospital treatment, with 2 in serious condition and 2 considered to be stable. A 5th worker was slightly hurt. An investigation is underway into what caused the collapse.
The amendments pertaining to enhancements of the MZO authority are not applicable in the Greenbelt. Full stop.
Ontario's Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing doubling down earlier this week, saying the province is continuing to protect the Greenbelt. The comments come in the wake of continued criticism over proposed legislation, which advocates say puts the Greenbelt at risk and makes it vulnerable to development. 9 members of the Greenbelt Council have resigned as a result of the proposed bill, and now a religious charity is requesting King Township Council approve a minister zoning order for a multi-use commercial complex on part of the Greenbelt. And as Angelina King tells us, advocates worry if it's granted, environmental studies and public consultation could be sidestepped.
The Augustinian Fathers own 800 acres of land and buildings within the Oak Ridges Moraine, an environmentally sensitive area that serves as the rain barrel for the GTA. It could also be home to a new retirement facility, conference center with a hotel or B&B, and a banquet hall transformed from this boarded-up barn. That's if the religious organization's request for a minister's zoning order, or MZO, is granted.
We're standing on the Greenbelt right now.
Susan Walmer is part of a group that protects the area and says it isn't necessarily against the redevelopment, but the process.
The owners, with their consultants, would have to do numerous studies to look at the impacts to the water system, to the natural features, to all of the ecological features on the land. They're moving ahead with this MZO order would bypass all of that process.
There's concern development will harm the environment, especially with the lake so close by.
Where this property is located really is at the top of our rivers. That's why we protected the Greenbelt, is that it cleans all the water that flows south into Lake Ontario.
The Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing didn't respond to requests for comment, neither did the Augustinian Fathers, but in its letter to King Township Council, it says the redevelopment would be beneficial to the community by creating jobs and public recreation areas, conserving heritage buildings, and offering a place for seniors, including a 140-bed long-term care home. It called it an environmental first proposal, saying it's intended to occur on existing disturbed areas of the property only, utilizing the entire footprint of existing buildings as the core of the expansion. The councillor for the area says the township can't make an educated decision without proper studies and public engagement. She says she likes the idea, but
I question whether this really is the best place for a senior citizens facility of the size that they're talking about.
The MZO request goes to Township Council on Monday. The minister has said that he won't approve an order if it's rejected by a council, but ultimately the decision does lie with him. Angelina King, CBC News, King City.
You're looking live at Parliament Hill in Ottawa. The area currently under a freezing rain warning. As temperatures warm, though, the messy weather is expected to turn into rainfall. A reminder to stay safe while driving, as roads could be slippery. And Christina's here with far more information on the weather for us. I mean, rainy all over, it seems like. It certainly was here in Toronto.
Absolutely. By the way, Maribel, you did a great job. You really summarized that. Freezing rain towards the nation's capital overnight.
Okay, good. But there's a lot more info to give.
Yeah, so here we can start off here in the Greater Toronto area where the bulk of the rain has surpassed us. So you're really not going to have to worry about that overnight. You're seeing Saturday evening 9 degrees, feeling like 5 degrees, feeling like 5 rather, no degree attached to that. So you're seeing Toronto overnight, dry skies right at midnight, 6 degrees. Southwestern Ontario, you're seeing a little bit of that mixing. And then towards the nation's capital, you're also seeing some of that activity. That precip is going to be continuing, and that freezing rain warning still in place. Here it is from Bancroft really into Ottawa. That is the major danger zone right now. Toronto, the bulk of the rain has passed us, and here's that swath of heavy snowfall for northeastern Ontario. As we mentioned, that freezing rain warning and snowfall warnings still in place overnight into your Sunday. And speaking of Sunday, if you love a little bit of sunshine, well, it looks like we're going to get a few hours of that, about 3 for your Sunday. But that cold Arctic air has returned to Canada, and it looks like we are going to be dealing with the coldest temperatures for this week ahead. Here's a look at your Sunday. Toronto at 4 degrees, and I'll have more details for you coming up in your long-range forecast.
Okay, bracing for the long range then. Thanks. We'll see you in a bit, Christina.
Thank you. Okay.
American officials say the country's first batch of COVID-19 vaccines will arrive in the U.S. on Monday. More on their plans for who will be inoculated first after the break. Activists across Canada joined together today for orchestrated protests, sounding the alarm on what they're calling a destructive and dangerous animal food system.
We come to you to deliver this critical message.
We have to address the cause of the pandemic. It's a zoonotic disease. It's because of our relationship with animals, the farming of animals, and all of these pandemics have to be dealt with in a serious way, preventing the pandemic rather than trying to create a vaccine to deal with something that's happening.
Wearing biohazard gear and masks, activists gathered in Toronto, starting at Queen's Park and then heading to nearby hospitals. They say COVID-19 shows all is not well with current food production practices. And that wasn't the only protest taking place in the city today. This footage was taken from the Royal York overpass today. A caravan of cars slowed down traffic on the Gardiner Expressway in support of India's farmers' protest. Tens of thousands of farmers in India have been blockading main highways around New Delhi for 2 weeks. It's all part of a much wider 2-month-long protest by farmers across the country, putting pressure on the government to repeal laws farmers say will reduce their earnings. A day after the FDA approved a vaccine produced by Pfizer and BioNTech, the first batch is scheduled to arrive in the U.S. on Monday. But as Stephen D'Souza reports, distribution poses a big logistical challenge.
With its emergency use now approved in the United States, tomorrow the first batches of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine will start to ship out of a Michigan warehouse.
Today is truly a historic day. For 7 months, we have realized the greatest public-private partnership in modern times.
About 3 million doses are expected to go out in the first run. By Monday, 145 sites across the country will receive the vaccine, with more than 600 total sites getting the first doses by Wednesday.
I am absolutely 100% confident that we are going to distribute safely this precious commodity, this vaccine needed to defeat the enemy, COVID.
Hospital and healthcare workers are first in line. Long-term care facilities are also expected to get some of the first doses. The rollout is a massive logistical challenge, with freezers needed to store the vaccine at ultra-low temperatures, and safety of the shipments a high priority. It's estimated 40 million doses could go out by the end of the month.
We have delivered a safe and effective vaccine in just 9 months.
The president delivered a video message shortly after the vaccine's emergency approval last night.
I promised that we would produce a vaccine in record time before the end of the year. They said it couldn't be done.
His comments came amidst reports that the White House was pressuring the Food and Drug Administration to rush approval. The head of the FDA denied his job was on the line.
Science and data guided the FDA's decision. We worked quickly based on the urgency of this pandemic, not because of any other external pressure.
The pressure now is to get the vaccine to beleaguered hospital staff, as the U.S. approaches 300,000 deaths from COVID-19, with close to 3,000 deaths a day.
We are not taking a victory lap. We know that the road ahead of us will be tough.
The CDC said today, even with the vaccine rolling out, Americans can't let their guard down. So masks, physical distancing, and hand washing all must continue for the foreseeable future. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, Calgary.
We're here today to do what we can for Daily Bread, our South Etobicoke neighbors, and our customers, you can see, are just loading up here for us. It's great.
We don't need a reason to do good for our community, but some free beer never hurts, right? We'll take you to today's food drive at Great Lakes Brewery next. here's some good news for Raptors fans in or heading into lockdown. Basketball's back. The Toronto Raptors play their first of 2 preseason games this evening against the Charlotte Hornets. That gets going in about half an hour. Kyle Lowry, though, didn't make the trip to Charlotte, staying in the team's temporary home in Tampa, Florida. The team's regular season opener happens December 23rd against New Orleans. Christina's back with a look at the long-range forecast. Okay, we have been spoiled with these warmer temperatures, Christina, but it sounds like they're not going to last much longer.
Yeah, Maryval, it looks like for this week ahead, it's going to be the coldest temperatures of the season thus far, because that cold Arctic air has returned back to the Great White North. Sunday morning, 2 degrees, feeling like 3 below 0. Let's take a quick look at this long-range forecast. So as we mentioned, that precip, the bulk of it anyhow, has passed right through the Greater Toronto area. That's in a rush to get into the Atlantic, though come Monday, it looks like we could be seeing a little bit of those flurries, but it's not anything about that precip or accumulation. It's really about those cooler temperatures coming up. So your Sunday, Toronto at 4 degrees. We are going to have a little bit of sunshine, about 3 hours for your Sunday. Here is that precip for southwestern Ontario, and as we head north into northeastern Ontario and Timmins, that's where we're really going to see the bulk of that snowfall. Your Sunday overnight, -1 degrees for Toronto, Mississauga, -2 degrees, Vaughan, Ontario, -2 degrees. You're going to start to see that cloud cover really build up. And then for our Monday, Toronto, 2 degrees, a little bit of sunshine. It is going to peak out. London right at the freezing mark, northeastern Ontario, Timmins, -7 degrees. There are those flurries once again. A quick look at our next 7 days. So your Sunday is going to feel like 0. Your Monday, 2 degrees. There's the chance of those flurries, but once again, we're not going to be dealing with accumulation. Tuesday at -5 degrees, Wednesday at -4 degrees. We could be dealing with some flurries once again, and then the sun is going to pop out for your Thursday, your Friday, as well as your Saturday. But once again, these are going to be the coldest temperatures we've had for the season. Into the nation's capital, there is that trough. So here is that precip for your Sunday as well as your Monday, and then check out your Tuesday, -9 degrees, but feeling like -16 in the nation's capital. Have a great evening, everyone, and I'm going to see you again for a chilly Sunday.
Yes, bundling up already. Thanks, Christina.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Okay. Great Lakes Brewery held a food drive today in support of the Daily Bread Food Bank.
Steady stream of cars coming in, lots of donations. The first couple customers came in and donated over 200 pounds of food. Their whole car was completely full, and that's just awesome.
Their first annual food drive saw plenty of support. Customers dropped off non-perishable food items with staff on site to safely gather and sort them. Of course, it's not a brewery food drive without a few hops. Any customer who made a donation of 20 pounds of food or more received a complimentary 4-pack of beer. Nice touch. And here at CBC Toronto, our annual Sounds of the Season fundraiser is ongoing. The need is even greater this year, and you can find out how to donate at cbc.ca/SOTS. And that's our show for you tonight. We're going to leave you with a look at Union Holiday. It's an outdoor winter exhibit at Union Station, and it's there until January 3rd. Some lovely sights to see there. Have yourselves a great night, everyone.